tonight's webinar. I'm really looking forward to it because I can remember lots of my previous clients where I was blind to particular aspects of autism. I just didn't see it. And I know it would have made a huge difference to these people's lives had I had been more skilled at the time and been able to identify that for them. So, hey, Monique, welcome.
Hello.
So how long have you been like really passionate about neurodiversity affirming approaches in a clinical setting?
I would say that I first was exposed to the neurodiversity affirming approach and that practice in 2020, like around when COVID shut us all down. And yeah, like I first realized that I was likely autistic back in 2017 when I attended a training by Tony Outward on autism in adults and women. And yeah, a lot of stuff resonated, and I thought, wow, how come I haven't learned any of this yet? I'm a clinical psychologist working at a practice.
I wonder with that self-knowledge that you've gained over the last few years, how has that informed the way you work clinically?
Yeah, it's being extremely important. So, like I said, the ASRS is great. And then Ben mentioned the executive skills questionnaire revise. And that's great if you want to learn more and the client wants to learn more about their executive functioning strengths and challenges. And then you can look at what to address in therapy. And for the client's self-knowledge, it's awesome. So I definitely recommend that.
I know that you wanted me to be monitoring the chat with all of the
Yeah,
discussions because multitasking for anyone
it's
is
hard.
hard, especially when you're doing a webinar.
Yes.
The
Thank
chat was going
you.
absolutely wild, heaps of people. I want to give you a
Oh,
few
amazing.
questions.
Yep, great.
Um,
Let's do it.
Lots of people saying if I want to do more training about these approaches and with you in particular, I think you're very popular. Where do they go?
Yeah, so you Google Divergent Futures, my training company, and we have a comprehensive training in March next year.
Question here, someone asks, are we at risk of diagnosing people and women in particular who camouflage overdiagnosing autism just because they're camouflaging?
Honestly, probably not. Like I do autism and ADHD adult assessments, and the majority of people who have presented for assessment over the past 3 years have been women. And so I think there's an overrepresentation of women in AFAB presenting for assessment because they've been underdiagnosed for so long.
Yeah.
And if you use the tools and if you have a really good understanding of autism and ADHD and how it manifests like in different people and like the diversity within autism and ADHD. And you understand the key principles of what makes someone autistic, what makes someone ADHD versus neurotypical, you're able to kind of work through the implicit bias
And,
and
question here, what are the extra considerations with people who are gender diverse and also mentioning the CATI, the Comprehensive Autistic Trait Inventory, does that do a better job compared to the AQ?
yes, it does. Yeah.
I mean, I think that the CATI, I mean, it's such a, I think it's an amazing measure. It's an Australian measure. It's got norms for men, women, gender diverse, gen,
Yep.
it's just all of those problems with the AQ over the years. I think it's like
Yeah.
pretty much nailed all of them and fixed them all. So I reckon it's the best out there at the moment.
It is my preference over the AQ for sure. Mm.
I'd like to draw your attention to a few assessments that we've got newly minted in NovoPsych. Firstly, the Comprehensive Autistic Trait Inventory by Dr. Michael English, an Australian author, is absolutely fantastic. It has a number of different subscales, social interaction, social camouflaging, um, and we've tried to, in our reports on NovoPsych, really make it easy to understand where you can compare the respondent scores between people without autism and people with autism. And so we think that this is the best screening tool around, and it overcomes many of the issues with other assessments such as the AQ. For ADHD, something that we've recently updated is the ASRS. We've got this beautiful graph now showing where the respondent scores in comparison to norms. And so you can see that there's a community group and there's an ADHD group. And then you can see where your respondent scores to get a little bit more precision and understanding about the diversity of responses that people can have with ADHD. And another one that's a real favorite of ours is the Executive Skills Questionnaire, which is a really practical measure for ADHD, and also autism, which really identifies skills that someone can be working on in order to improve daily functioning, like time management, emotion regulation, and behavior regulation.